Welcome to Is Anybody Listening to Me podcast with Azar and the Meat. This is a special coronavirus episode. We're all under quarantine. We're all on lockdown, so we're doing a special, using special technology to actually bring you this podcast since we're all quarantined from each other and we can't do this live. So we're going to make the best of it. We're going to thank one of our biggest advocate and fans who's letting us use his computer software and his company's teleconference software to do this Zoom podcast for us at this point. So let me welcome my partner, Big Meat. How's it going, Big Meat? How are you surviving the quarantine?
I'm surviving, Azar. It's a little crazy world out there, but I think we're doing all right. I got my booze. We're managed to do this podcast for the first time remotely, which is great. The audio might not come through as well as it has in the past, but we're going to do our best to entertain all the self-quarantine people out there with a good podcast today.
Right,
and we have a it's just not the two of us this time, Azar.
We have our third man in, and he's coming all the way from the lost world.
Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. And actually, this works out better because the mic actually might work better for him.
My mic has been great. It's you guys that keep into the mic.
Well, the good thing with this software is now you can actually mute it and not have to worry about it.
Well, there is a downside. I have to stare at your faces through the whole thing like you're actually here with me. So that's kind of a bummer. But, it's fine.
I prefer to do this all the time. That way I don't have to sit in the same room as you guys.
Yeah, but if we're not at Roper Studios, it's very upsetting that we can't be there and make, because there is the benefit of mocking Mr. Roper when we're together.
That is true.
By the way, he's been missing as of late. I haven't seen or heard from him in quite some time.
That is true. I'm not sure what's going on with well, you know what? He's maybe taking the coronavirus pretty hard. He is under isolation. He's on lockdown now. So it's possible that his wife would have murdered him because he is kind of an annoying person. So maybe Helen has finally taken out Mr. Roper once and for all.
That is true. Maybe Mr. Roper that will never get old.
She's quite a character. I mean, he's quite a character.
And one of these days, we are going to get him on our podcast. I keep convincing. I'm very close. I'm very close to convincing him. I think it's going to happen.
I don't know. He's kind of a worry brain, but you know what? Maybe we just got to get him drunk one night. That's how we have to do it.
That's true.
Well, we did see a text from him. I think the last text that we heard from him, which might be the last time he's been alive, was he was getting messed up on wine. That was the last text I saw. He was at some outing. So maybe he didn't survive. Like, that was the last sign of him.
Maybe he was drinking so much wine, Azar. Maybe he could be our wine expert on the next podcast. He did. I got that text too. I said, "Gee, he must be really messed up."
Yeah.
Like I wanted to go and check on him and see if he was okay.
He had to be messed up because what guy would send a text? I'm getting messed up on my wine tonight. So. Well,
Mr. Roper, we got him.
All right. So as usual, we try to review some alcohols, but we're not together. So we've kind of been stuck in isolation and forced to drink what's available to us. If you've been able to, it looks like our third man, Jarvis, was able to wander off and find a different beer for himself, and so did Big Meat. I've been living off my Guinness to get me through this isolation, trying in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day. So Big Meat, you said you had a tasty treat you wanted to share with the group.
I do, and I actually just finished a bottle of it now. And so I had a couple of these already before I switched over to my new favorite. And we've talked about this before. I got to just a nice little call out to it is the Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Been drinking some of that. It's so good. It is so good. But this isn't a Screwball peanut butter. We've done the peanut butter whiskey podcast.
Well, wait. On this point, you ass, because you drank all my whiskey and you left me all the shitty whiskey. I've been drinking Rams Point. I've been drinking everything but Screwball. I went to go have a glass for myself, and I had like a sip left. You left me a sip from the last time you were at my house.
Was there any of the PB&W whiskey?
Oh, that's on deep reserve when the quarantine gets really in full effect. When we're 3 weeks into the quarantine.
I owe you a bottle of peanut butter whiskey then. There you go.
I'm like, that son of a bitch. I am forced to drink. And you know what? I didn't realize how bad the peanut butter whiskey was PB whiskey was compared to Rams Point was so much better. Rams Point was
okay.
Oh my God, Rams Point was so. It was like actually like a blessing to have Rams Point.
I think after a while it all just kind of blended together. I mean, I remember the butterscotch flavor with Rams Point, but
after half a bottle, yeah, everything does seem to blend in together.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. But this screwball whiskey is definitely the best. It is so delicious. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what I'm traditionally I would drink when I go out. I get a Blue Moon beer. It's not a bad beer, but I saw this at the liquor store today, and I'm a big iced coffee fan. So there was one that's out. I've never heard of this before. I don't know if it's been out for a while or not, but it's a Blue Moon beer. It's an iced coffee blonde flavored beer. So again, we're going back to the flavored beers here. It's not bad. It's got decaf coffee beans that are mixed in with it, but you could definitely taste the coffee in it. And the best of both worlds here: beer and coffee mixed together.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I know you're a fan of Guinness, and Guinness has a little bit of that coffee flavor. And what was the beer that we had last time? And it had a little bit. Was it the toffee pudding?
Yeah,
the toffee pudding ale.
The sticky toffee pudding ale.
The sticky toffee pudding ale. And that had a little bit of of course, like a toffee flavor to it, but a little bit of a coffee as well. And I don't know, I think this might be my new obsession, these coffee-flavored beers. Who knows? Maybe next time when the bars open up again and I can actually go out to a bar and drink beer, I might actually be drinking more Guinness. I've never been a big fan of Guinness, but I don't know. I think I'm falling in love with this kind of beer.
Oh, can't go wrong with Guinness. All right, third man. What's your tasty
sir.
beverage? Help you get through this.
Well, so I had to stay relatively quiet because everybody that knows me knows if I speak on coffee, it's borderline criminal because I don't drink it. Got nothing to base it on. That's it. So I appreciate your love for coffee stouts and coffee beers, but I just can't do it. So not to go too fruity, because I know that's what the people that would be guessing what I'm going to pick would be saying. I either have a Truly Seltzer or something fruity. I have a beer from Wormtown Brewery, but it's not a crazy IPA. And this is the first Wormtown beer that's not an IPA that I've ever had. It's just a standard lager. So it's like drinking a Miller Lite. It's delicious. It's crisp, fresh. It's called Masshole.
That's appropriate for the person drinking it.
Just thought I saw a can that looked like a vague attempt at the state of Massachusetts with Masshole on it. And I said, well, the ball's on these people to put this product out. It's got to be either real good or real bad. I have to say it's real good. It's a drinkable beer. I could drink this beer for the duration of a night.
Oh.
This is a beer that has some staying power.
Is at an all-time high there.
And what's the alcohol content?
Well, let me tell you, 4%.
Oh,
that's it.
Well, that's a girly beer, so I think seltzer's a little strong.
Seltzers are like 6.
5.4%.
I think seltzers are 6%. You got to be kidding me with that.
Well, you know what? From a sustainability, you're right. You can drink it all night. It's 4%.
Listen. I'm not.
That's why you can drink it all night, because it tastes like water.
It does. It's so good. I don't have that nutty coffee gross taste in my mouth. I got nothing. It's just beer. It's beer, baby, and I can drink it.
It's Masshole water, so it's got to be toilet water. That's all it is.
Listen, let me tell you this. You're going to drink one of those and be like, I can't have it all night, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to sit here and go, you're in fucking quarantine. What do you mean you can't have it all night? Where are you going to go? You got to keep drinking.
That's true.
That's true.
That is very true. That is true.
I'm in it to win it, baby. Long haul.
Speaking of which, I'm running low on my screwball whiskey. I got to run out tomorrow before we do a mandatory quarantine on the nation.
I don't want to get into one of my tips for quarantine, but I can fix your problem, and I will tease that later on this segment. Mm-hmm. Just going to say that.
He's been hoarding masks. All right, well, that's good. So,
and just so everybody, if anybody's interested in trying out that Masshole, that's spelled out mass and then WHOLE, correct?
That is correct. Yes, it's the whole mass, not just like a bung hole in a keg. Yes. It's like whole, like it's the entirety of mass.
There you go. All right. So when you walk into a liquor store, you could just walk in and just say, "Hey, any Masshole here?"
There's plenty of mass holes here.
There you go.
All right.
So those are our 2 beer reviews. We've been doing a lot of beer lately. At some point, we gotta find a new whiskey. But I think this whole quarantine era is putting a damper on our wallets.
Well,
we gotta go cheap.
There is for me, they're building a whole new New Hampshire liquor store in my town, and it's supposed to be one of those like supersized ones. So I'm going to have a lot of variety of different whiskeys to explore and try. I've actually gotten more recommendations from people emailing me. You know what? Speaking of that, since you're trying this big coffee kick, there was a recommendation that was sent to me about the Jameson coffee whiskey. Remember that one I showed you? I had a picture of it. It's got coffee and Jameson. It's basically an Irish coffee already made up for you. So that might be something worth trying in the spirit of coffee drinks.
Yeah, well, you know how much I love my Jameson, Azar.
I know.
I know you both hate Jameson.
Well, again, it's a mixing whiskey. You're right. That's why you mix it with coffee. We can make it work.
Well said, Azar. Well said. Yeah, you're going to mix any whiskey that's a good whiskey doesn't get mixed.
Maybe so you can
take the mixing, shove it.
A little Bailey's.
I will not release any of my sources, but one person that I know of that is a big drinker and likes his whiskey, Jameson is his favorite whiskey. And I said, "Oh, what do you mix it with?" Because I don't mix it with anything. I drink it on the rocks.
What kind of accent did he have?
Well, he sounds like a more.
If I tell you, I would give it away.
Sounds like a real man, though. Not mixing it with ginger ale.
Or poor Azar. He could also be a poor man.
That's true too.
That is true. But it just goes to show that people do actually drink it on the rocks.
Yeah.
So people do.
Oh.
People also drink Mad Dog 2020.
That's true.
You can't just make blanket statements like that and consider them quality.
Yeah. And there are people that
what's wrong with Mad Dog 2020?
Nothing. It's a good night. Hey, what's wrong with drinking grain alcohol with Gatorade? What's the problem with that? I mean, what twisted person would pour themselves a grain alcohol and say, "I need a mixer"? Well, I got some fruit punch Gatorade.
Wait, can we reveal who that might have been?
No,
I think I know who it is.
Everybody knows who the cockroach is. It's
all right. I was gonna throw a cockroach, and I was like, was it cockroach?
Yeah, it was the cockroach. Only he could drink straight grain.
Yes. He's the only one that could survive this coronavirus outbreak.
He's probably the cause of the coronavirus in New England.
That's not true. We all know who the real cause of that. I think it came out of Lincoln, Mass.
Yeah, that is true. Well, he's getting deployed soon enough, so we're going to be getting a whole new book on this one.
Oh, I know. Deployed to Cape Cod, how he rebuilt the Sagamore Bridge.
I realize with him, he's like that Mark Wahlberg character from the Marathon Bombing movie, how he was in every important scene that it was like critical. Like he was like, I think he was a Boston cop, but for some reason he was involved in the Watertown
incident.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to go on patrol. Oh no, they're in Watertown. Yeah, that's my area. Oh, yeah. I'm also going to be called by the FBI to go to the warehouse and be like, oh, nobody can figure out where the camera at Crate and Barrel is. So I'm going to call the beat cop in to recreate the scene for me because I can't look at a freaking camera and figure out that after Crate and Barrel becomes Abe and Louie's.
Yeah.
Come on. We needed a beat cop for that?
Well, pretty soon that's going to be the next topic of the book once he gets deployed in the Guard. We're going to see a book, how he was there for the cure, how he was there for patient zero. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be. He was at the Biogen conference. He was manning a booth selling insurance. So, well, it'll be like everywhere. He was on the plane with that poor woman that went back to China that just got arrested. He was there.
That's right.
Anyway,
trying to cover up her symptoms, and she still managed to go there. Like, what?
He was trying to stop her the whole time, but he failed, and she got on the flight. So.
Is she the one that got kicked off for having the quarantine stamp on her wrist?
I don't know. I didn't read
that.
No.
Oh no! I heard that she was just under some medication to like control her fever, and basically was just trying to get to China, and I don't know how they found out or whatever, but it was just like now she's in big trouble. But
yeah,
that's great.
We know our hero from Lincoln tried to save her, but wasn't able to. All right. So speaking of that, we're good transition because now we're just trying to get into some things to keep ourselves entertained, not these make-believe stories, but like right now, you're forced to binge watch because there's nothing else to do. but stay home and catch up on movies, TV shows. And I think, one thing that Meat and I were talking about that we really liked, and we were in the middle of it, still no spoilers, but the Hustlers, I keep calling them.
Azar.
What kind of show are you watching?
You got to be kidding me. Hustler, Jennifer Lopez, and who's the other one, man?
You know what? It's in my head. The Hunters with Al Pacino. I got to say, was probably one of the best shows that I've watched.
Azar, I just think I can't get Hustlers out of my head now. I mean, nothing you say after this is going to matter.
I don't want to talk more about this show.
Jennifer Lopez spin around a pole.
You know what? I made the same mistake with my wife.
You said Al Pacino, and I just went soft.
No, my bad. No, The Hunters with Al Pacino was one of the better shows that I thought was pretty compelling. You actually wanted to binge watch it. I haven't found a show lately that I really wanted to watch episode after episode and get really into it. So it was really well done. Great plot twist at the end. Meat, you had a chance to finish it?
I did. Yeah, I watched the whole season. I finished it a few nights ago or so. Yeah, it was good. I liked it too. I liked the whole premise of it. But after it was over, I kind of thought about it. And what they actually, where the plot was similar was Captain America: Winter Soldier, when Hydra was basically over the years they kind of were in the government, and it was kind of like it was a little bit of the same plot line there. Now that I think back, it was like it's kind of very 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 similar to it. But it was good. I did like it. Al Pacino was great. I thought he played a Jewish guy better than Jewish guys. I think he was that good in it.
But I didn't realize if you say Al Pacino made being Jewish cool would offend a Jewish person, but I did apparently offend one of our Jewish friends when I said he made.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But he did. He was such a cool character in the movie. You were like, he made being Jewish so cool. And
he was good. But it was like I said in the last podcast, the inconsistency was a little weird for me, but it did keep you kind of engaged because you didn't know exactly where the next scene was coming. If you didn't think it was a little bit, it was going to be full of humor, or if it was going to get serious, or what was going to happen. We're not going to spoil anything here, but I don't know if I was a big fan of the ending. I don't know if the ending, I don't know if I really liked the way it ended. I liked how it ended at the very, very last scene.
The final credits, yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. But I think just the kind of the overall plot, how it ended, I was just like, I don't know if I...
Well, it's a series. So I think they were teeing it up because now it's going to be like a series on its own, going forward. So, but I thought the ending was good. It was an interesting plot twist that took me by surprise. I didn't see that coming at the end. But I thought it was well done. And for our World War II buff here, our third man who loves history, I think they did a good job of kind of really helping you understand what those people were going through. And, for a man that likes to feel that experience of someone going over the top in the World War, going through those trenches.
The trench warfare, yeah.
Yeah, I think this show made you really feel what it was like to be in one of those concentration camps, like the horror of them stripping you from your children and your wife and stuff. So I know our third man hasn't watched it, but I got to highly recommend it because if you like historical things in a more of a light kind of entertaining way, it's definitely a series I'd recommend.
Okay, you've sold me. What platform is this viewed upon?
Oh, it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Like I order it offline and it comes to my house?
Yeah, sure, you can do that. No, it's on Amazon Prime Video. Is that what it's called? It's not a service.
I think so. I think it's Prime Video. I think
Amazon Video.
Yeah, Prime Video, right? Yeah,
gotcha.
I think so. It's definitely worth the investment. And they actually...
It's a long season. It's 10 episodes. Yeah, and Jarvis, if you do watch it, 10 episodes. It's at least an hour long each. I think the first episode was an hour and a half. So it's a long season to get through it. But every episode is a good episode, and there was it definitely.
Now, is it Hunters or The Hunters?
I think it's The Hunters. Oh no, maybe just Hunters. Just Hunters.
Yes, that's it. The Hunters. Hunters season 1. Yep.
Okay.
Hunters.
Very good.
And that woman had the most perfectly round afro. I was actually impressed. She had the smallest frame, but this big, round, perfectly globe-like afro in the movie. Her character, but I know one of the beefs you had with it was kind of comical in some of it, like they kind of to break up some of the scenes. But I found they didn't do it as much in the last couple episodes. I felt like they might have either started the episode that way with something comical, but it was kind of serious. But
yeah,
it wasn't the same goofy stuff that you saw in the earlier episodes.
You're right.
So
you're right.
I think they kind of moved away from that.
Is there actual gore? Like, is there battle scenes in it?
It's not a gory show. It's more of an emotional show. Like
some disturbing scenes. There's some scenes where you just are like, wow, like, and they played it off as if that stuff really happened back during like the Holocaust. So it was just some stuff that was like, wow, I didn't even realize they even got that evil, back then. But it did make it seem like that stuff really did happen.
I don't think a lot of it's far-fetched. Some of the stuff seemed a little far-fetched, like the individual things. But I think some of the torture, they talked about some of the torture that they put the prisoners through. So it does get disturbing.
And there was some nudity in it.
Yes. Not the nudity.
I think you should have the official side boob rating scale on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being full nudity.
It was more than a side boob in this one. Although I remember after like maybe the second or third episode, there wasn't really any nudity. I don't remember ever seeing much nudity after that. But there was that one scene, that first episode. It was like full on, not the type of nudity that that you would want to look at, but nudity is nudity.
That is a proud woman. That is a proud woman.
Yes.
Yeah. It would give you nightmares afterwards. But
yeah.
So Azar, you mentioned Patriots Day, right? Mark Wahlberg. I happened to view Spencer Confidential on Netflix. Did you guys get a chance to watch Spencer Confidential?
No. What is that about?
Oh, well, let me tell you what Spencer Confidential is about. Mark Wahlberg's production, I don't know if it's like based on like a Hardy Boys thing, if Spencer Confidential is similar. He said it was a series of mini novels he read when he was a kid in Dorchester. And it was like what drove him to want to be action hero, super guy, whatever. So Spencer Confidential is a movie on Netflix, and it looks like they set it up to be like a movie series where it's like an hour plus long. It was like watching a full movie, but almost like the Marvel series where like you fight a bad guy and then you go on to the next bad guy and so on and so forth. It is Patriots Day all over again. This guy, Mark Wahlberg, wrote the script and just was like, whose ass can I kick and how many people can I kill at once? Because it is nothing but him being so many places that he doesn't need to be, that he shouldn't be, but he is single-handedly just solving all the problems in Boston. So it's filmed in Boston, so it's pretty cool. It's all about Massachusetts. So you're like, all right, I like all the landmarks and all the references about the towns, but he's a cop. He's a cop who is thrown in jail for assaulting his captain, who conveniently is corrupt, and the whole plot is okay. So it's him getting out of jail 5 years after kicking his boss's ass for uncovering that his boss was corrupt. Comes back and they're like, okay, you're going to go be a truck driver in Arizona to get out of here because no cop in Massachusetts wants you here. And he's like, yeah, but before I go, I'm going to take down the corruption of the Boston Police Department. And it's just this most far-fetched thing. He's in fights every scene with like 10-on-1 and he kicks everybody's ass. That's Spencer Confidential. And then at the very, very end, they have a news clip of the chief of the fire department getting dragged out of the fire station yelling, I'm framed, I didn't do it. And he gets this look in his eye like, I have to save him. And his whole little family and friends there are like, oh no, not again. And then the movie ends. And it's like, you got to be shitting me. You got to be.
It's all Mark Wahlberg movies.
Yeah, it's nothing different. You could watch Patriots Day. You could watch Spencer Confidential. It's literally just changed the characters and a little bit of the plot, but not much.
Yeah, like Transformers, everything is in.
What, John?
Is it a series? Is it a movie? What was it again?
So it's a movie. It's technically a movie, but I'm telling you it's going to be a series if it stays popular.
Is it cheesy?
So the action is good. The acting is cheesy. The plot is far-fetched, but as a total package, it's a
Mark Wahlberg is
success.
in it, and it's cheesy. No,
Yeah, it's
He's not a good actor. I'm sorry.
No, he is not. He is not a very good actor.
like if you just want to watch a movie that's got some good fight scenes, although not believable, and it's got Boston, so you get a little nostalgia, and yeah, the plot is what it is. I mean,
He's not on the Nicolas Cage level, but you know, he's a pretty bad.
He's way tougher
Right
than
about.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he's on the Keanu Reeves. Like Nicolas Cage is the
Yes.
worst.
Because at least Keanu Reeves has John Wick who
Is
kicked
a-
a bunch of ass.
Azar gets so angry when he talks about angry. Azar comes out when he talks about Nicolas Cage.
Oh, it brings the worst out of me.
You can just sense it. You can just hear it in his voice.
Oh, you know, speaking of great bad acting, but during this whole coronavirus, my wife overheard me saying that I was concerned about Sean Connery's life during this his health and well-being. She actually had to stop and look at me. She goes, "What did you just say?" I said, I am concerned about the national treasure we call Sean Connery during this coronavirus because he is in that high-risk age group. So I'm very worried about him.
It's so true. I used to do a death pool where you would draft a team based on who you thought was going to die that year, and you would get awarded points for first death, last death, most deaths, and things like that. I was petrified of seeing Sean Connery. Still to this day, because of that league, I am petrified that his numbers are going to come up. And what am I going to do? It's like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Rock. I mean, right there alone, best resume of acting ever. You don't need any other movies. Nobody will be able to top those two performances.
I'll be inconsolable.
I will be inconsolable. You and I will have to be together because it'll be a lot of PB&J, Screwball whiskey.
Yeah,
Rams
yes,
piss.
the better of the whiskeys.
Oh, we have to drink Scottish whiskey in honor of our boy Sean Connery.
Oh, then come to my place. At Middle Earth. I have quite the McMillion distillery collection here. All Scotch.
There we go. That's what we need to drink. Some good
stuff.
the good stuff. Yeah, in honor of my boy Nicolas Cage. I'll drink some Mad Dog 2020 in his honor.
He's the mad dog of actors.
Awful, but you know,
Plain alcohol with a little bit of Gatorade.
yeah. But Mark Wahlberg. Every movie is basically just a cameraman following him around in every scene. Even like scenes that he doesn't even like anything to belong in it. He's in that scene somehow. Like
Yeah, he is pretty much the same character in a lot of his movies.
yeah.
But that is a good segue into my next my show that I wanted to talk about because Mark Wahlberg actually produced this documentary.
No, there's a good segue. Nice
Yeah,
going.
very good segue.
That's
So
our third man.
Yeah, that's right. So he's one of the producers. I think there were 3 producers. But
I'm here to contribute, boys.
the show that I'm talking about, and it is a documentary, Azar. It's not a docudrama. It is a full-on documentary, and it's called McMillions.
Docu-Snorefest.
No, McMillions was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, and it's on HBO. In fact, if you have Hulu, we were talking about like some of the cord-cutting options, Azar. You were talking about having Hulu to replace your cable and whatnot. Of course, if you have one of the Hulu options, I think it does come with HBO, so you can actually watch it on that. I don't know if you have that. I don't even know if you even have HBO or not, but
I have HBO through the AT&T service. They give it to you free. They give you HBO Go for free, so I can pull it up through that.
okay, there you go. So McMillions, of course, is a story about the Monopoly game at McDonald's, and it was the whole scam that happened all throughout the 90s, where they were there was a guy basically picking the winners of the big prizes. And so McMillions is a really good documentary on the whole McDonald's Monopoly board scam. And there's one guy in particular on there. It was one of the FBI agents that basically was kind of running the whole operation. He's kind of a younger guy, but I'm telling you, this guy was so funny in it. He needs to have his own reality show or whatnot. And when you listen to this guy, when you actually watch the show, he is so funny and so good in it that just him alone, you got to watch this McMillion show.
And now, is it a real story?
It's a documentary. Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah, the whole.
Yeah, it was a true story. The guy that they hired, he worked for a separate firm. Yeah, I actually just know the story. I haven't seen McMillion, but I maybe I did, unless it's not brand new. Because I saw something about it too. So the story is that this guy worked for a company that was in charge of the pieces, and it was out of like North Carolina or South Carolina, and he would send the pieces to his friends so they could turn them into win, but they were supposed to be distributing them all over the country in some sort of formula. And he did it so frequently that the FBI chased the addresses of the winners and connected them all back to this idiot who worked for the company.
So this was going on between 1989 and 2001. So looking back now, like I remember late 80s or whatever, early 90s, I was, 12, 13 years old. I mean, that was a time when we were all going to McDonald's and we were like, this whole Monopoly game, maybe I can win that Dodge Viper. That's one of the prizes. I can win the $1 million. And I remember going there thinking like, oh, maybe there's a chance to win. Now watching this documentary, I had no chance. There was 0% chance of winning in those 12 years that those guys are running it. And in 2001, in fact, it was going to be such a big story that the news outlets were going to release this whole story on it. And the day that they were going to release it, September 11th happened. So it ended up being pushed to the back page. That's why it never really became that popular of a story, because all the newspapers and media outlets, they took up all their time on 9/11 for several months after that, and this just kind of got thrown into the back page. So like watching this documentary, I was like, holy smokes! Like I remember hearing about something like this, but I didn't know how the details behind it. And like I said, it was fantastic. Definitely a must watch if you like documentaries.
So I could just picture your childhood memories were shattered when you heard this documentary.
Absolutely. All those cheeseburgers and all those fries that I had purchased when I was younger, I had 0% chance. Now looking back, that sucks. Yeah. That kills my childhood.
You know what? I actually remember filling up one year. I actually remember almost having a board filled and couldn't get these last pieces for anything. No. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like, you can't get one break? Even like the cheap prizes. It was driving me crazy. But you know what I mean? I'm sorry that your childhood with this is such a traumatic thing of all those cheeseburgers.
Well, it was through my teenage years. So it was, it was right when I was starting to work myself, and all that hard-earned money being spent on all those 49-cent cheeseburgers, hoping to get a Monopoly piece that I wasn't ever going to win.
Oh, the young meat, eating all those cheeseburgers to finally become the big meat.
How's your cholesterol now?
That's right.
He's a high-risk candidate for coronavirus just because of his goddamn.
Exactly. So this one really, it touches home. This is close to home here. This affected me. This affected my life.
All right. Now, you said it was the best documentary that you've watched. Now, I got to ask. I watched the Andre the Giant documentary.
Well, not the best. It was one of the best.
I thought that was one of the best documentaries just because I loved Andre the Giant and the story about him. Like, was it that good? Like, was it that compelling?
It was that good. But the thing is, the Andre the Giant documentary, as great as it was, that was only a, 2-hour documentary? There weren't multiple parts to it, if I remember. It was only like a 2-hour episode, whereas this one is a 6-episode season.
6 episodes about freaking...
Yeah. So when they started the show, they originally wanted it to be like a 2-hour documentary. And the more that they actually discovered about it, they had like interviews with the people that were involved. Eventually they were like, holy crap, we have so much here that we could turn this into a 3, 4, 5 episode. By the time they were done with it, they stretched it out to 6 episodes. And it was good. Yeah.
6 1-hour episodes?
Yep.
Wow, that's a long-ass documentary.
It's really good. It's
My
really
God.
good. I'm telling you.
How much free time do you fucking have?
We're self-quarantine, man. This is all thanks to the coronavirus.
You watched Ottoman Rise of Empire, like a huge, long documentary. You're watching McMillion.
I was up till 3 in the morning watching McMillions. Yeah, I was up till 3 in the morning the other night watching McMillions. Yep.
Oh, man.
It's worth it. It's worth it. I'm telling you. Watch it.
Oh, God.
Highly recommended.
All right. Well, we're all into quarantine thanks to coronavirus, so I guess there's nothing. What else do I got going on? So, spending time with the kids, family. Spencer Confidential. The way you sold it with Mark Wahlberg, that might be on the last of the list just because it's Mark Wahlberg. I'm actually trying to
Pop
watch
culture. You got to watch it. That way you'll be in the know on what's happening right now. Otherwise, people are going to be talking about it, and you're going to go, geez, I only saw Patriots Day, even though it was the same thing.
But I don't think
But I
you heard
missed
me
it.
when
It's a Mark Wahlberg. You can't miss it.
But I don't think you heard me when I asked if there's any nudity in it.
There's a prison scene.
No, his
Nah.
his hesitation right there was just.
Yeah.
I ain't watching it.
I think the only movie that I heard that he's done that was really good was it Boogie Nights? Is that the only good Mark Wahlberg
That's
movie?
going way back.
Yeah, that was way back. But he also had a limited acting role in that. He was a main character, but he was carried by many others.
Exactly. So that's a Nicolas Cage type of movie. He has to surround him with good characters just to keep the movie afloat.
Well, Heather Graham was naked, so that distracted a lot. And then Philip Seymour Hoffman was just out to lunch in the movie. And oh my God, what was his name? John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly is amazing. Serious or not, he was fantastic.
You're gonna say John Cena's in it?
No, John C. Reilly, the Shake and Bake.
Yeah. John likes bad actors. John Cena, bad actor.
Yeah, but you know what though? Look, Sylvester Stallone's not a good actor, but we all love Rambo and Rocky.
Again, another national treasure.
Sylvester Stallone was a fantastic director. Rocky 1 was written well, directed well.
Director's another story, though. Like, Mark Wahlberg is a great producer. He's produced a
Do you know what the
million
difference
things.
between a producer and a director is?
He doesn't.
I do.
He does not. He does not. He doesn't realize the difference.
One produces and the other one directs.
All right, next topic.
All right. On that note, well said, mate. Well said. Thank you.
I'm not lying.
Anybody that's listening, if you didn't know the difference between a producer and a director, now you know.
I know what the difference is between a producer.
One directs and one produces. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you, John.
Yeah, but we're not talking about directing or producing. We're talking about acting. Look, I'm sure Nicolas Cage would make a great director or a producer. What I'm talking about is directing talent.
Because Nicolas Cage would stop the scene and say, "This is how you do it," and he would actually say, "You know what? I'll do the movie myself," because he loves himself that much. He's like Mark Wahlberg. It's the same thing.
Here's going to be a stab to your heart. Sean Connery is a great actor, but I bet you he'd make a terrible producer or director.
You don't need that national treasure directing a movie. You just need him on the camera screen directing a quality movie. Shame on you. All right. Speaking of other national treasures, let's transition to the big one. That to all the, I called it here, and I was surprised. I tried to get my props for this. The big man, Tom Brady, has officially left New England.
The big man.
I was calling it. I was saying Tampa Bay. I said Tampa Bay. How many times? And what did Big Meat say? No, he's going to go here.
Wait a minute.
Miami.
Come on now. Wait a minute. I did not say no way he's not going to Tampa Bay. I actually said, the only couple of teams that I could see him going to is either Tampa Bay or Miami. And I made a bold
You did
choice.
not say that. We're going to go through the audio.
I did say Tampa Bay or Miami. I said I don't see him going to Los Angeles Chargers. I don't see him going to the Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, whatever they're called now. There was a whole bunch of other teams that people were throwing out there. I said, I don't see him going anywhere. I see Tampa Bay Bucs and I see the Miami Dolphins. And in fact, I was actually saying Miami Dolphins like 6 weeks ago when Miami wasn't even on the radar, and they ended up basically becoming.
I have to interject. Miami was the first team on the radar. Actually,
no, they were not.
First team.
Nobody was talking about Miami.
That's not true, and I can prove you wrong because 2 months ago that the rumor was that he was meeting with Steve Ross, and he was going to be offered 2 points ownership in the team. And Miami was the first deal because they were talking about Chad O'Shea would have been his offensive coordinator, but then he got fired, and they brought in that other guy who Brady doesn't have a good relationship with, Chan Gailey. So. And they said, why does Chan Gailey come in? Brady's not going to be a good fit there. If they're going to go after Brady, why bring in Chan Gailey? And then they were going to offer him points and ownership. All that happened in January, so you did not just speak factually. Now continue.
Okay. You're talking about something in January when the playoffs were still going on. Miami
We
was
were
never
eliminated.
a realistic
You
thing.
would have known that if you were at the game.
It was,
He found a way to work it in.
such a jerk. Listen, Miami was if you looked at the Vegas odds, Miami wasn't even in the top 10 when the Vegas odds came out. And I said, well, why not? Why wouldn't Miami come out? And then there was that quote from the owner that said, there's no way we're going to go after Tom Brady. It's like, we're in a rebuilding mode. We're not
Also
gonna go
not
after
the
Tom
quote.
Brady.
The quote was, why would Tom Brady want to come here?
I'm paraphrasing. But this is him saying, we're in rebuilding. It's not going to happen. He's not going to go out. And then just last week, Miami was one of the front runners. They said, oh, yeah, we're very interested in going after Tom Brady. And I was saying that several weeks ago. So I was making the bold choice of saying, hey, I'm going to go out.
It was the wrong choice. How is it bold?
No.
It was way off.
It is bold. Of course it's bold. I could have went with the
to deny
easy
it
choice.
because of tampering. He couldn't say we want Tom Brady because it's tampering in January. He had to say, well, why would Tom want to come here?
So when Tampa Bay, like 3 weeks ago, said, we're all in on Tom Brady, and then Azar comes out like, yeah, I'm going to call it. He's going to Tampa Bay. Of course, they said they're all in. They're all in.
No, that's not true. I will go back. I've been saying Tampa since the first time we brought up the Tom Brady discussion.
Tampa since Warren Sapp was playing there. Get out of here with that.
You said, why would he play with Bruce Arians? Would they get along? You actually questioned it. And I was telling you the thought of playing with Mike Evans, Godwin, playing with Bruce Arians would be an easy plug-and-play for Tom Brady. I was making that case for weeks. And we can go back into the data to prove it.
I could have easily just said Bucs too, and that would have been the easy, obvious answer, but I didn't. I made a more bold choice, and I said Miami. Which, by the way, it's not even official yet. Did he even sign with the Bucs yet? Everybody's just kind of assuming it's a done deal.
So it is a done deal. He has not signed yet. They agreed on a mutual independent doctor in New York to do the physical because he didn't want to go to Tampa, and Tampa didn't want to let him have Alex Guerrero just say, yeah, I'm fine. So they had to agree on a doctor. Apparently, they've agreed on the doctor. The physical was supposed to happen this afternoon or this evening, and then tomorrow we will hear that it's signed, and if not, then there's something else up.
So does that mean Jameis Winston's coming to New England?
No.
Not for $30 million a year.
Where's he going to go?
Well, it's funny you ask. There is a carousel of quarterbacks with Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, and soon-to-be Mitch Trubisky jettisoned because Chicago just traded for Nick Foles, right? So what teams truly are left? Because Tennessee gave the stupidest contract, and I thought Jared Goff was the worst contract in football. Tannehill is the worst contract in football. So Miami needs a quarterback because they have Fitzpatrick. There's not going to be a long-term answer. So they could go after a guy like Trubisky. They could go after Jameis Winston and have those two again because like Tampa did, they were actually pretty good. But, what team really is out there? And you look at, it's really Denver, San Diego. I don't see the Raiders moving on from Carr. They would have at this point, but there was a lot of talk about that.
They signed Bridgewater.
Yeah.
No. That's the Panthers.
Panthers signed Bridgewater.
I said the Raiders. Derek Carr is on the Raiders. Can you not hear me? Should I turn this up a little bit?
Yes, that's a little better. Now you got to swallow that mic, Jarvis.
The next, the interesting point comes from the AFC North, in that Roethlisberger is going to be done in a year, maybe two, or not even. So I think Pittsburgh could be a sleeper for one of these quarterbacks. If not, I don't know what Cincinnati's deal is. Even though they have a top pick, they could take Winston and trade that top pick or spend it somewhere else. I mean, they have a lot of room. And then the rumor that I heard, I really want the Patriots to get Matt Stafford because he's only going to be a $7 million hit, and we've given everybody we have to Detroit. I'd like to see a trade come out. Detroit sends us Stafford, and then they go get Jameis Winston. That's something like that is what I think is going to play out.
You think the Pats would really go for Stafford?
I freaking hope so. Better than what other trash is out there.
I'd rather just have him stick with Stidham.
I really feel Andy. I think Andy Dalton's name keeps coming up.
Yeah. So okay, Stafford or Andy Dalton?
No, I'm just telling. I'd rather have Stafford, but I'm saying. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's a lot of noise about Dalton
That's because they think he's going to be released.
Yeah. So
I'd rather get coronavirus and die of coronavirus before seeing Andy Dalton as the Patriots quarterback.
Right, but you're not answering my Matt Stafford question. I think Stafford could be a big play if they can get him, and I think he's doable because look at what's going on up there. They're trading people. They're trading their best players. They're trying to change their culture. Stafford doesn't fit. Stafford is not Patricia's guy, and he's getting old. I think they could bring in Winston or even Cam Newton, one of those big-armed high flyers for a change in culture.
No way.
Definitely not Cam Newton.
Not for that culture.
Okay, maybe not Cam Newton, but Winston.
But I could see Stafford. Coming to the Patriots. If the same offensive scheme that Patricia was running, it would be kind of an easy transition for him. I could certainly see that happening. A veteran quarterback that's been around a while.
Well, are you saying Patricia was running the same offense as New England?
He did say that. I don't know. I don't know. He's just gonna let that one go.
That's saying if he was running the same. I said if he was running the same offense, wouldn't he be running a similar offense if he was the head coach and he comes from the New England?
He's not Josh McDaniels. Why the hell would he run? He's a defensive coordinator.
It's still the same. It's still very much the same scheme that maybe he would run, just being around the Patriots team.
So
would it be kind of a similar? It's not like
you were actually making us more confused. I thought you were just going to correct yourself and say, "Oh, I meant Jim Bob Cooter or whoever the coordinator," but you're actually trying to get yourself.
I'm just saying.
Let me get another beer for this one.
The same offense. Who knows if he was just sitting there learning from the offensive scheme from the Patriots and said, "Okay."
I don't even know who you're talking about anymore.
Oh my God.
Is anybody listening? I don't even know what you're saying.
You know what? I just love that Jarvis is actually muted as he's still talking about this, so nobody can actually hear. We can actually still hear him.
He's laughing. Muted. So let me get the logic straight. The defensive coordinator, he's worrying about play calling the defense. He walks over, listens to Josh McDaniels, takes notes, and goes hires another offensive coordinator for his team and says, "See my notepad? I want you to run my notepad."
Kept the same offensive coordinator from the previous head coach. It was Jim Bob Cooter or whatever his name was.
As the head coach, doesn't he have the final say in the offense? As the head coach?
No. As the head coach, he said, "I know shit about offense. I'm going to let Jim Bob Cooter from."
Oh, now you're wrong. Now you're 100% wrong. The head coach is basically just going to say he's going to leave up all the play calling to the offensive coordinator.
Yes.
The play call. Sean,
no.
Look,
yes,
I know
it doesn't happen.
All right, look,
it doesn't happen.
He's coaching flag football, so he's taking his coaching experience.
You know what? You're right.
He's the head coach. He's the offensive coordinator, and
Andy
he's the one. He does it all.
He is Andy Reid.
Wait a minute. You're telling me the head coach doesn't have the final say for every team? If you're the head coach of every team, you don't have the final say?
In what?
In coaching.
That's not what you said earlier. I'm talking about the offense. Bill Belichick does not walk into McDaniels and go, let's go over your offense, and I'm not sure if I want you to run anything that I hired you to run. And never once does he go over in the offensive huddle. Bill Belichick goes in the defensive huddle and tells them to make their adjustments.
You're wrong.
Listen, Andy, I am not wrong. Why don't you go?
That's not what happens.
Oh,
that's not what happens. He lets Josh McDaniels come up with the offensive play calls. If Belichick walks in and says, "Look, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, change it."
But he doesn't spend time like that, like he does with the defense. He worries about game management. He worries about preparation. He does not worry about the game plan. Like Matt Patricia never coached the offense. He's a defensive guy. You think he's going in the offensive room being like, "All right, guys, let me see what you got."
Wasn't the coach? Wasn't on the Patriots last year. I'm saying last year there wasn't a defensive coordinator, so Belichick took care of like the entire defense last year. I'm saying in general, when there was a defensive coordinator and there's an offensive coordinator, he pretty much let them come up with the play calling and the plays.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if he wanted to change something, he absolutely has the right to change something because he's the head coach.
All right, this is a big me tactic. We've shifted to Bill Belichick and arguing his involvement when this is all about Matt Patricia and the offensive coordinator. Well, you spun us in a circle just to get out of your stupid comment. You're wrong.
Okay, all right, let's go back to
Matt Stafford's offense is not going to be like the Patriots' offense. It's just not. I'm just telling you right now. It's not even the same. They didn't run the same offense.
When did you guys work for the Detroit Lions? I didn't know you guys were on the coaching staff. You guys
Well, they
know
were so
this for
bad they were
sure?
taking Zoom applicants.
First of all, I didn't say that. I didn't say that there was absolutely for sure that the same offense they were running. I said if he was running the same offense. If the big word is if. Go back. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to actually, when in the post-editing phase, I am going to raise the volume to its highest setting when I say the word if.
Wait, you know what? We needed.
If he's running the same offense, it would be a very similar offense that the Patriots were running. So it would be an easier transition.
Exactly. That one sentence, I want you to tag that sentence, made no fucking sense whatsoever. If Matt Patricia is running the same offense that they ran in New England, that's what you just said.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia did not bring Josh McDaniels' offense. He probably doesn't know 3 plays out of the playbook other than what he recognizes on defense. No fucking idea what Josh McDaniels ran,
I would say no idea,
or
but I
what
would
Matt
say,
Stafford and Jim
I would
Bob
say
Cooter were running up in
similar.
Detroit.
I would say a similar offense. I would say a similar.
Our
offense.
ratings are dipping because this topic is atrocious. We need to get back on something more entertaining.
Where's our 3? We need him here to be the mediator.
My God.
He need to punch you or just get so
What about
angry.
angry
drive to your house.
Angry Jarvis come out.
Your stubbornness has single-handedly
You
cost us
guys
all our
love to
listeners.
twist my
At this
words.
point, everybody has shut us off. There is nobody left listening after your hogwash of an offensive analysis of Matt.
Our 3
I'm
is
gonna go. I wish I
Audrey's here
had the time.
smashing it.
I wish I had the time to go and research this because I would bet I could find an article that says the defensive coordinator leaving a team runs the same offense when he left the team to go coach another team.
Written in crayon
bet you I'd
and
find
macaroni paint by John
I bet you
Sotorakis
I'd find
Jr.'s
it.
4th grade project.
I bet you I would find it.
Oh yeah, I bet they would. All right. Let's before our 3 smashes something and shuts off this podcast because he's so angry with you guys right now. Let's talk about the big trade that happened that Bill O'Brien's getting roasted for, is giving up DeAndre Hopkins and trading him for DJ. That was a huge trade. I mean, Arizona picking up like a top flight receiver like that, I think is a huge addition to their team. I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to keep Larry Fitzgerald? Is he staying for another year?
Yes,
And-
he re-signed for a year.
Yeah, so he's staying for another year. I mean, he's kind of old, so I'm not really worried about him.
National treasure.
Yeah, but I think Houston's taking a step back with this.
Oh, totally.
I just don't.
Absolutely.
And the thing they're arguing about now is that they could have probably try to resign Hopkins or got more for him because, like they're saying, Melvin Gordon is going for the cheap right now. They just cut Todd Gurley got cut. He's going to get little money, so he could have picked up a DJ equivalent in the free market and not had to give up.
Maybe arguably better if Melvin Gordon could be younger and healthier than DJ, who's had an injury history. But on the flip side, just if you're looking for trade comps, look what Stephon Diggs got from the Bills. It was like 4 draft picks.
Yeah.
And over here, you got somebody's leftover garbage that was a first-round pick in fantasy the last few years and has performed like it 3 years ago.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
they gave up a 5th and DeAndre Hopkins to get back DJ in a 3rd, I think it was.
I don't know if that was that the need for them. That wasn't their problem. Because it wasn't who was the running back for them at the end? Carlos Hyde, right?
And Duke Johnson.
And Duke Johnson. And I thought Carlos was functional.
Did you hear about the Stephen A. Smith or Michael Irvin? One of them reported that Bill O'Brien had a personal problem with Hopkins because Hopkins has multiple children with multiple women.
His baby mamas were hanging around.
And the baby mamas were hanging out. And then at one point in a conversation over the last couple of years, he compared him to Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, that's a harsh comparison.
Yeah. So,
Do you think that's,
I mean, it seems like Bill O'Brien's Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he is not market value for somebody I just need to get off my team, and I won't explain why. I'll just get roasted and ignore it.
But now he has no receivers. I mean,
Well, Will Fuller twice a season.
But he doesn't stay healthy at all.
Well, that's right. It's once or twice a season.
Yeah, and Kuti, whatever.
Kiki Kuti.
He can't stay healthy, so they got no receiving core. I think Deshaun Watson.
They also have Kenny Stills.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I would say Deshaun Watson's value. He was a top 3 quarterback.
It was mostly because of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I would say take a step back. I don't trust.
Yeah, he drops. And he wasn't, even with DeAndre Hopkins last year, he started off the year great, but Watson kind of fell apart towards the second half there too. You remove Hopkins from that equation, and Hopkins Deshaun Watson just drops significantly.
Yeah, he was very inconsistent. Having him on my fantasy team last year, he was just very inconsistent. That was a trade I regret. I wish I actually gave him up and kept Lamar Jackson. I would have been better off. But I went with the name and the history, and unfortunately, you're right. And DeAndre Hopkins would disappear from some games. He started off really slow last year in fantasy for everybody. But, yeah, I think that just changes Deshaun. I'm more concerned about Deshaun Watson's value because if you're looking for a top-tier quarterback, I wouldn't take him in the top 5 right now unless they picked up a big name. But what big name would be out there? Amari Cooper?
He's signing with Dallas. 5 years, $100 million.
It makes you question why, though, with Hopkins is why the Patriots weren't in the running for it. Why didn't they try to get him? They need a receiver. Houston didn't give up.
But if he's a problem child, guy, Bill O'Brien would tell Belichick that he's a problem.
Well,
that's true.
Do you know how I interpret this? Is that nobody values Sony Michel because we would have had to offer Sony Michel, and he was worth nothing. And therefore,
I would have given up Sony Michel, Damian Harris, Rex Burkhead, and Brandon Bolden for DeAndre Hopkins. It's just it's crazy.
I think if you took all of their healthy body parts and put them all together, it may equal a valuable enough player to do that. But Sony Michel is so bad as a first-round pick that he was not worth that and anything in a DeAndre Hopkins trade.
We're finally in agreement with something, Jarvis.
We hate
Sony Michel. Sony Michel, worst.
His value. He may be a nice person. I hate him as a player at his value.
Sure, he's a nice guy too. I don't want him to,
I could go down a dark hole with this. Azar, keep me in check.
All right,
but he is the worst short yardage back in the league.
In the league history, the history of the league. This man is hot trash.
I don't know.
You hand him a ball
of the 1993 Patriots team was pretty bad.
All right. So, and you brought up the Stephon Diggs trade to Buffalo.
Yes.
And that took me by surprise because that is an element that offense was really missing because they have a great young running back and they have a young quarterback that has potential. It's still early to decide if he's going to be – but right now, bringing in Stephon Diggs, who's a good playmaking receiver, and they have that great defense, I think Buffalo Bills is probably the lock for the AFC East right now.
Oh, not lock. Favorite. Say favorite, not lock.
Depending on what the Patriots do, if you're going to tell me they're going into the office...
Hey, do you guys know anything about the safety the Patriots just signed?
No.
I don't know anything about it. His name's Adrian Phillips.
Mm.
Everything
2 years, $10 million or something.
They're beefing up the defense. That's all I keep hearing, posts on Twitter. Is that
they better beef up their linebackers because they don't have any. To Hightower.
Yeah.
And Winovich. Yeah. Don't forget about Winovich.
That's true. They got
and Jawan Bentley.
Guy.
I think this is going to be a rebuild year because I don't see what the Patriots.
I think all the players they lost, it has to be.
But they lost so many players.
But it depends on who their QB is. If they get Stafford, then maybe. But if they stick with Stidham, yeah, it's definitely a rebuild year.
So you get Stafford, you pay him that money.
No, he's not paying the money. It's a trade, and he stays on the books for only $7 million. But you're
not going to want to restructure his contract and sign him for a couple more years?
No.
So that means you're pretty confident that Stidham or someone in the draft is looking
then
good.
It is a bridge year if that's the case. If you bring in Stafford,
absolutely. I won't disagree with that.
All right, then who's he throwing to?
N'Keal Harry, Julian Edelman, and Jacoby Myers and Mohamed Sanu.
Edelman is sneaking in. He's in Tom Brady's suitcase right now.
By the way, I wanted to bring that up. Don't steal my thunder. I have a secret conspiracy theory that Edelman is going to pout all training camp and Belichick's going to send his ass right to Tampa.
I bet you he does.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
It'd be sad watching Edelman, a 33-year-old, try to go over the middle and just T-Rex arm every pass because he doesn't want to get hurt for anybody but Brady.
Yeah, he's not staying with the Patriots. So you might have N'Keal Harry starting next year. But I don't know if it's Stafford. Would you want to come to the Patriots? Is
Well,
that
if
even
you trade him? What's the no choice?
Well, you think someone with that type of contract has a no
No trade clause?
no trade clause?
Maybe.
I mean, he's a.
But why the hell would he want to stay?
I
mean, why would you want to play for Matt Patricia, the offensive genius?
Well played.
Because he is a 3-time Super Bowl champ as a defensive coordinator who brings his knowledge of the offense over to
No. Name the 3 Super Bowls.
2014, 2016,
Okay.
2018.
Wrong. Brian Flores, 2018.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All right, he wasn't on that team.
And the third man in is.
Wait a minute. Matt Patricia was part of the organization for a long, long time, though. Are you sure he wasn't even there way back in?
No, he did not come. He did not come in before 2004. He came in for a Giants loss, and he came in for the. His last year was the Eagles loss. So if you want to look at it, Matt Patricia as the defensive coordinator has put up our worst defensive performances in our Super Bowl history. We let up a ton of points to Atlanta, a ton of points to Philly, a ton of points to Seattle. We got whooped by the Giants. Couldn't make one stop twice. Are you kidding me? One freaking stop. Just stop the ball once, and we win another Super Bowl. Matt Patricia has had the worst footprint on our defense in the history of the dynasty. But it's okay. He's a great offensive, whatever you said.
You know, I realize how desperate we are during this coronavirus quarantine, that Matt Patricia has been more on topic in this last 15, 20 minutes than anything else. Why the hell do we keep bringing up Matt Patricia?
Wait a minute. Just on a final note, just to prove you guys wrong here, Matt Patricia, offensive assistant in 2004. So, yes, he does have 3 Super Bowls as an offensive assistant. Boom! Booyah!
Awful offensive. The only thing offensive
assistant, and he was the assistant offensive line coach as well early on in his career. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast is getting another freaking docudrama on Matt Patricia.
Oh, there you go. Try to change the subject. Now that you know that I've been proven right once again. Thank you very much.
Oh, man. Go drink your Blue Moon.
There's nothing worse than an on-air booyah.
I haven't dropped enough booyahs on this podcast. I need more.
You just missed a prime opportunity.
I'm wondering if we're still in quarantine during the fantasy draft, can we Zoom and have all of us on screen?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be a hell of a draft.
We might just have to if this outbreak continues into August. We may just have to do a draft this way.
Anyway. Can we just ask Mr. Roper to do it online so we don't have to look at him and deal with him anymore?
Oh, that's funny.
I just want to be able to mute him.
3-time Super Bowl champion.
Oh, God. He's still talking about it.
3-time Super Bowl champion. I just love proving you guys wrong. That's all. Just for all of our listeners out there.
It doesn't change the fact you say stupid things. Wait, no, it doesn't change the fact that you say stupid things. No, you may find yourself a twist to be right. You still said something stupid.
Matt Patricia.
I was right. I was 100% right.
It doesn't vindicate you from that stupid comment you made about Matt Patricia's offense being the same as the Patriots' offense.
I said if. I did not say don't die. Now you're putting words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. Well, what else is there to talk about? What other big trades do we? Is there anything that we need to talk about?
Well, how long is this podcast right now, McMillion?
Oh, we're at like an hour and 15 minutes or so.
So we're going long here. We're going long on this one.
All right. Well, maybe we should save it because we're quarantined, so we can do a podcast like every 2 days because we got nothing else to do.
That is true. We could do a nightly podcast if you'd like.
Let me go.
Wait, I teased something earlier, and it was my one in-quarantine recommendation for those of you that may have heard it or not realize it's a real thing, but booze delivery is in Massachusetts. You can call a liquor store or a restaurant, and you can have booze delivered to your house. So if you want to try something new, call your liquor store, call a restaurant, and say, send me your drink special of the week or whatever. They'll mix it, and they will bring it to your house. If they say no, it's against the law, they are wrong. Governor Baker allowed it to happen.
They actually let you do cocktails? Okay.
Yep.
All right, and I'll give you my
tip of the week. It's up to the individual location, so you got to find one that'll do it. Tip of the week.
All right, and I'll give you guys a tip also for those that are listening that are short on toilet paper. If you order from Old School Bar and Grill in Windham, New Hampshire, anything over $50, they give you a roll of toilet paper on the way out the door.
Oh, there's a lot of places that are doing that, though. There are actually a few places doing that.
Really? All right. So,
I think I actually heard today that Brickhouse is doing it.
Oh, with their burrito cheesesteaks?
That's right.
Was that real? I saw that.
Oh, man. Yep, burrito cheesesteaks. All right. Well, so I guess that's good to know. So if you're short on toilet paper, just order some food and you get a roll. So if you get the shits from the burrito
What does that say
cheesesteak.
about their food?
I did have a delicious jalapeno cheeseburger after today, so I did go out of quarantine to get a burger to support my local restaurant. All right. Well, Big Meat, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No closing thoughts for me.
Nothing
Right.
Matt Patricia related, perhaps?
Yeah.
Nothing. No. We've talked enough about. I think we've talked more about Matt Patricia. We actually wanted to talk more about Brady going to Tampa. We barely even talked about Brady going to Tampa. We talked more about friggin' Matt Patricia.
Well, when you get an idiot comment, it just derailed the whole conversation. So we have to do a whole nother podcast to talk about Brady.
At the time, you assumed it was an idiot comment, but it was actually a true comment that it was a brilliant comment on my part, actually.
Yes.
And that would be my closing thought.
Yeah. What about you, Third Man? Any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
How do you follow that? Like with a coherent thought? My brain is pretzeled from his idiocy.
Pretzeled.
Okay. All right.
Just stay safe. Coronavirus. Don't mess around because I don't want to deal with any of this shit lasting longer than it has to.
We already lost our Nashville trip. Let's not lose our trip to Tampa Bay this year.
Oh yeah, that's going to be coming out. You know what? We got to look at that. We could go to the new stadium in Las Vegas to see Tampa play at the Raiders.
Oh.
Mind blown.
Well, again, it's all depending on the coronavirus and how people are quarantining. All right. We'll wrap it up right there. So just on a reminder, we are on Apple iTunes. You can follow us there. Just search for, is anybody listening to me with Azar and the Meat? You'll find us there. You can find us on SoundCloud, and you can find us on YouTube. So subscribe, put a review in. That would help us out. And until next time, as Third Man just said, stay safe and be corona-free.
Yes, wash your hands.
Wash your hands, you dirty bastards.